Hey everyone, Mike here, and in this video I've gathered about 20 or so tips and tricks for the Samsung Galaxy Note 4, and I'm sure you're going to find many of them useful. Let's have a look, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you'll enjoy this. Okay, first we're going to tackle the new multitasking option Samsung put on this phone, and there are two things you should know here. On one side there's the multi-window mode, which allows you to share the screen between two different tabs side by side, but that's not a novelty. However, when the multi-window mode is active, you can now long press the back button and launch the ribbon of apps that actually work in dual screen. On top of that, you can get up to 5 different minimized apps running in different pop-up windows at the same time. You can drag content from one app to another, you can move the windows around and resize them if you want to, and you can minimize the apps and they'll be displayed as bubbles. Hitting the home button minimizes all the pop-up windows, and when you maximize some of the apps, the others remain visible as bubbles on top of the interface. A full screen app can be easily minimized by swapping diagonally from the upper right corner. Now, this might not mean much to some of you, but it's a unique software pack we haven't seen on any Galaxy before, or in fact on any Android phone that I know of, and does make multitasking on the Note 4 more versatile. Then there's the S Pen. Samsung redesigned it and put a more sensitive Wacom digitizer on the Note 4, which basically makes the pen more accurate no matter what you use it for. But they also changed the associated software pack from the Note 3. As soon as you take the pen out of its silo, the Air Command utility pops up right away. Tap anywhere on the screen and it fades, and you can recall it by pressing the button on the pen with it hovering over the display. There are 4 main options in this panel: Action Memo, Smart Select, Image Clip and Screen Write. As a novelty though, you can use the Smart Select and the Image Clip modes to clip multiple different pieces of content and save them all together in a single scrapbook, which was not possible on the older Note. This 2014 model has another cool new trick. You can take a shot of a written text, digitize it, and then edit it with the S Pen. Again, not a groundbreaking feature, but something you might find useful. Next I'll tell you a few things about the cameras. The Note 4 borrows the main shooter from the Galaxy S5 and most of the interface. But there's a new shooting mode called Rear Camera Selfie that does exactly as the name suggests. Helps you take selfies with a 60-megapixel shooter. It automatically takes a pic when it detects a face inside a frame. The front-facing camera now has a 3.7-megapixel sensor, in order to match the QHD screen's resolution, and a few new tricks as well, again focused on selfies. There's a wide selfie mode, which is mostly a panorama for the front-facing shooter, and the pulse sensor on the back of the phone now works as a shutter control for the front camera. Speaking of sensors, the Note 4 got a few new ones, and as a result the S-Health app includes a few new options. Among them, you can measure the amount of UV radiations in your environment, you can measure your SpO2 levels, or in other words, the oxygen percentage in your blood, or you can tell how stressed you are. This aside, S-Voice has gotten smarter on the Note 4. It can still reply to all sorts of questions, but I find it a bit more responsive than on the Galaxy S5. You can also have it running in the background, like on previous Galaxy phones, and open it with a voice command from any app, from the home screen, or even when the display is turned off. However, while on other Samsung smartphones you could only wake up S-Voice by saying "Hi Galaxy", on the Note 4 you can set up your own customized message in any language, and it will only answer to your own voice. The Note 4 is a big phone, and that's part of the reason why many buy it. But no matter how you put it though, this thing is difficult to use with a single hand, that's why Samsung included the one-handed operation mode on this phone, which was first introduced on the Galaxy S5. You need to activate it from the settings, it's in the display and wallpaper submenu. You can also enable the one-handed keyboards and the side key panel from here, but we'll get to those in a sec. The one-handed mode basically minimizes your interface so you can reach everything with your thumb. You activate it by swiping from the screen's edge and quickly swipe back. You can resize the window and you get the main Android commands on the bottom next to the volume keys. Activating the one-handed input mode makes the keyboard and the dialer smaller, thus easier to reach with your thumb. The side key panel can also be activated from the same menu in the settings or by tapping the appropriate quick toggle. By the way, you can access the full list of toggles by swiping from the top of the screen with 2 fingers. This mode creates a floating panel that includes the main Android commands glued to the phone's left or right edge. It's meant to bring the home, back and multitasking buttons closer to your thumb, again in order to benefit one-handed use. You can edit the panel's transparency, move it from one side to another, higher or lower, and you can add the exact buttons you want in it from the settings. There are a few other things you should know about the Note 4. For instance, you have 2 different ways of taking a screenshot. One requires you to swipe your palm across the screen, but needs to be activated from the settings first, and the other, which I find much simpler, requires to press and hold the home and power buttons simultaneously. A framing effect and a shutter sound will let you know if you are successful in taking the screenshot. Then you should know that Samsung included the ultra power saving mode on the Note 4, which you've seen before on the Galaxy S5. It turns the screen black and white, caps the hardware's performance and only allows access to a few basic features, including the dialer, the messaging app or the browser, but gives you many days of battery life in return. The new Note also gets from the S5 the fingerprint reader integrated within the home button. You can finger lock the phone and you can also finger protect images, videos and other types of content with a private mode. This one basically hides specific files or folders from your phone behind a password or a fingerprint. It's a neat way of keeping certain things away from curious eyes. The Note 4 also inherits the Air Wake function that lets you wake up the screen by placing your hand on top of it in order to quickly check your notifications or the time. You'll need to activate it first though by going to the settings, accessibility, dexterity and interaction and turn on Air Wake from here. Next there's this thing called priority senders on the Note 4. We all have dozens of contacts but mostly talk to a few of them. You can select this and have them displayed at the top of the messaging app as priority senders. This way you can just tap them and start texting without having to go through the entire contacts list. The next trick allows you to accept or reject calls without being kicked from an app. By default, whenever you receive a call, you're booted from the app you're in into the call options screen. But if you go to the settings, application settings, call related pop-ups and check out both the call notification pop-ups and the in-call status pop-ups, you're not going to be kicked off the app anymore, but instead get this neat pop-up interface whenever someone dials you. You can answer or reject the call directly from here, and you can also turn the hands-free mode on or off. The last on my list is something I do on Samsung smartphones the moment I get them out of the box. Turn off the annoying blooping sound that you get each time you perform an action. Go to Settings, Sound, scroll down and uncheck the Touch Sounds option. I also disable the dialing keypad tone, the screen lock sound and all the keyboard sounds, but that's just me, I rock my phone silent. And well, that's about it for now. I hope you learned a few new tricks for your Galaxy Note 4. If you know any other hidden features and tips, make sure to tell me about them in the comment section below. I'm still learning all the things I can do with this Note, and I'm pretty sure I haven't yet found all the goodies. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, hit that thumbs up button if you liked the clip, and I'll see you guys soon.